Hi guys, John here from Optics Warehouse. So today I'm just going to be talking to you a little bit about BKL mounts and what separates them from most mounts you'll find for your general air rifle and rimfire use. I'm also going to go through sort of the pros and cons. So it will be what you can use them for, but also what I wouldn't recommend using them for. So to start with, as you can see, if I pop that one there, and for example I've got a Hawk mount here next to it, obviously ignoring the height, if you look at where they clamp up, the Hawk is clamped up by 1 foot on the side. So although it is a 9 to 11mm dovetail mount, depending on where that sits in that size bracket, means your mount could be off to the left or the right. So you're never sure on whether it is going to be lined up properly. Whereas with the BKL, you can see that central split there. The screws go right the way through and clamp up both sides evenly. That's why it's got the 2 lines milled there and the slot coming up. So as you do them up, it does bite in nicely. So it's called a self-centering ring. So obviously with that, that means that hopefully you're not going to be using too much of your windage adjustment on your scope to get the zero that you want to achieve. Also with that, having it centrally lined up means you're not putting as much force on the scope with the windage, meaning that you get the full elevation travel of the scope as well. So with that, if you do want to put these onto your rail and you find they're too tight to slide on to start with, what you need to do is you take one of these screws completely out. Obviously you need to loosen the other one off as well, and you pop it through from that side into the mount. You can see there the screw now comes through into the middle, and that will then push against this foot here. So that will then spread the dovetail apart, which will allow you to fit it to your rifle. Obviously there is a limit on how much you can spread them. I wouldn't recommend trying to spread it far enough to go onto a BSA 13mm dovetail. But as I say, most 9 to 11mm dovetails, these will suit perfectly without any issues whatsoever. One other nice part about these is the fact that it's double strap, but the straps are separate on there. So you can nip them up nicely without having to worry too much about it binding or biting over. You obviously use the torque driver, make sure it's all set to the correct torque settings anyway, because you don't want to be damaging your scope. But it's a nice solid feel on there, and the fact that you can get that adjustment perfect. One thing to bear in mind when doing mounts up, obviously, just make sure you've got a gap on these sides here. If these are touching on one side, you've over tightened it that side. If it's touched on both sides, the chances are you've now crimped your scope, which could cause you damage and inaccuracies in the future. So, I did say I'd mention about what I think you can and can't use these for. One thing that I personally wouldn't use BKL for is to use on a spring-powered air rifle. Now, it's nothing wrong with the clamping on it. The only thing I find is the way the profile of the dovetail's cut, it's more suited for a deeper grooved dovetail. Obviously most most spring powered air rifles are on a cylindrical shape where the dovetail's cut in. So it's quite a shallow cut dovetail. So with that, I find that these don't bite in quite as they should. But also you've got no recoil lug on there as well. So once again, instead of just relying on the clamp, you've got, for example, the Hawk, you've got that recoil lug in the middle. That will then help stop it from moving back on the rail if something does come loose, or just to help support it there. The BKLs don't have that. So for me, these are more suited to rimfire, where you have got that deeper dovetail, or your pre-charged air rifle. So as you can see here, they do come in various shapes and sizes, and obviously colours. You can go for your matte black, or you can go for your silver, or what they call stainless. And they do cantilevered mounts, they do one-piece mounts, and they do adapters and riser blocks. So, for me, BKL is a very premium mount for your air rifle and rimfire use. They're by no means the cheapest, but once again, you pay for what you get. You're getting really good quality mounts there. So that sums up the BKLs. If there's anything you'd like to know in more detail, or you'd like me to go into any particular fitting and do some examples, please feel free to drop us an email or give us a call. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks for watching.